Couples, I was so excited that my husband Lee decided to join us over on the Instagram channel for I Believe in Marriage. And we had a live conversation where we talked about what it means to win in your marriage. And we even talked about the couples playbook, the strategic plan for your marriage. It's such a good conversation. And here's a strategy. You and your spouse should set a time that you both are going to be finished looking at the live. It's just 30 minutes. Listen to it while you're at work, while you're cooking dinner, while you're driving home. And then the two of you schedule a time to discuss it. You don't have to agree with the two of us, but it can jumpstart a conversation for the two of you. Let's check out the live, and I can't wait to hear back from you.
I think you're there. Hey, husband.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Keep your hands on the road. On the wheel.
Well, I got to keep one under my chin because that's how you drive cool. So
You're
one
so
on the
cool. You're so cool. I got a crush on you for 30 years. Do you know that?
Well, baby, you looking good, baby, over there.
I mean,
Yeah. Wait a minute now. I need to hurry up and get back home.
yeah, I thought you would say I was kind of cute.
That's what I'm saying. Uh-oh. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I am super excited for us to have this conversation. As you all are coming on, make sure you comment and let us know that you're here. Husband is on his way to pick up my baby. Hubby's on his way to pick up my baby. Hubby's on his way. Baby, they don't know that I write music.
Okay. I don't think
I
you
write
do.
music.
You maybe not.
So, Lee's on his way to pick up Brian, so we are super excited about that. You skipped out without having to do all of the assignments that she gave us.
No. Well, that's what mothers are for. To do what daddies can't do.
I have so much to say about that. But anyway, we are coming on because we want to talk about what it means to win in your marriage. And we want to talk about specifically what that looks like, defining what winning looks like in your marriage. And we want to talk about the couples playbook, which just happens to be my husband's favorite resource. Out of all the resources that I offer through I Believe in Marriage, homeboy believes in this couples playbook. And so we are excited to be able to just chat with you all. And listen, I have a client at noon, so this conversation is not going to be all day. Honey, Riley is waiting for her JJs because I ordered some JJs for her. So she's waiting on her JJs. Riley stayed home to do virtual school.
That is not conducive to gymnastics excellence. Okay.
Well, she don't have practice today, so.
But she does have conditioning. So tell her I said she does her reading and her conditioning today. All right.
On it. Yes, sir. All right. So let's first, honey, when we talk about, one of the things, that my heart has been really heavy, particularly this year, on the realities of pressure that people are feeling in their marriage and how they're handling the pressure. And, I'm often telling you, I'm often trying to come up with something else. What can I do to help couples understand that it really is possible to win in their marriage? And, I have always, over these 20 years that I Believe in Marriage has been in effect. Can you believe it's been 20 years, baby? It may be longer than 20 years, but definitely at least 20 years. The I Believe in Marriage has been in effect. I have really been intentional about I Believe in Marriage not being predicated on you and I or conditioned on what's happening in our marriage. But at the same time, I believe we can talk about what it means to win in your marriage. And so when you think about marriage and you think about couples winning in their marriage, I'm putting you on the spot. I was going to ask you this. But when you think about couples winning in their marriage, what comes to mind for you generally with that conversation? When you think about you and I, you think about couples we know, you think about the couples at TFC. What does that mean to you?
I would say unity, being together. When you talk about a happy marriage, I think about us being on the same page, us enjoying a lot of the same things. It doesn't have to be everything, but laughing at the same stuff, enjoying one another, enjoying each other's presence. And I think all of that is wrapped up in being in togetherness and being unified and being, in unity.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's so interesting for you to say that, because I think that really is, I wasn't expecting you to say that, but I think that's a strength for us, for our marriage, because people hear me all the time say, finish the sentence, baby. I don't play.
When it comes to Lee May,
Baby, I don't play when it comes to Lee May. But the truth is, you don't play when it comes to me either. And so when you talk about unity, I think that is a takeaway for couples right now, that you and your spouse decide that it's us against the world. The children don't get to come between you. Your extended family doesn't get to come between you. Your best friend doesn't get to come between you and your spouse. That is the two of you against the world. But how do you navigate that, honey, when there are issues or realities that the two of you just don't agree with? It's maybe you have a radically different perspective of how we should handle something. I have a radically different perspective. What do we do to stay unified, even though we might see things differently?
well, I do think you got to talk. Just because you are not on the same page, just because you know that you disagree, particularly, it's probably things that it's been kind of a long time going where you haven't agreed. You just stop talking. And that's not the answer. You at least need to try, because you just never know. Every conversation, you could get one step closer to at least having greater understanding of what the other person is thinking. Again, not that you agree or even align with what they believe, but understanding takes you a long, long way. And you can't understand if you don't talk, right? If you're not at least attempting to talk. So that's why you can't shy away from the big stuff, from the tough stuff, from the hard stuff. You got to lean into it and at least try. There are gonna be things y'all not gonna agree on. It is what it is, but at least trying, I think, is really important.
You know, when I think about that, people may not believe this because I may not present this way. But between the two of us, I think you tend to be more reasonable. And so I think reasonable, did you laugh?
I just, hey, I'm glad this is on. I'm glad this will live, on the internet for a while. I'm gonna have to screen record this,
Because
and
you done learned how to screen record, so now.
yeah, I just learned how to screen record. So you better watch out now.
So between the two of us, you tend to be more reasonable, but I think reasonability is an incredible characteristic when it comes to winning in your marriage, that the two of you have to be reasonable with one another, because you're talking about two adults coming together. And so I think that is one of the tenets of winning in marriage. Okay, so I know we're going to get to the couples playbook, but I have a couple of more questions, and I want us to kind of share with those who watch this now and watch this later on. Okay, so you happen to be married to a very strong-willed, type A, always have something to say kind of wife. Am I lying or am I dying?
The truth is coming out of you right now.
Oh, baby, I started this line. Don't let me forget. I started this line. And you remember, y'all forgive us. You remember when you were at Honey Beckham the other day, and you said something as you said, and you realized how inappropriate it
Oh
was.
yeah.
Lee,
Yeah.
I started the live and I said something I didn't mean it like that, but as I said it out my mouth, I had to stop the live and start all over. I'll tell you what it
I
was
thought
later. Okay.
I thought the live stopped, because when I went in, I was like, wait a minute, it says live, but then it said it ended. I was like, what's going on? I thought it was
Lee,
me. Okay.
Lee, I just couldn't leave it. I just could not leave it. It was so inappropriate. Okay, so you're married to a woman who is very opinionated. When you're playing around, because you do be playing, when you're playing around and you use the word woman obey, I'm gonna do the opposite. Okay, and so I'm saying that to say maybe you can give some wisdom to men who are married to women like me, because a lot of times what I find is that there is a tension and a struggle with control. And you remember when we were at the couple's house who went through my my communication course, and we were sitting with those couples. And one of the things you mentioned is that everybody's trying to get their way. And so there's often this tension of control. and you have figured out a way to manage your still be your input about that. How are you able to do that?
Well, my connection may be going in and out, so forgive me if it does. But I do think, the Bible talks about being slow to speak. And of course, the opposite of that is being quick to listen. And I think that is just good wisdom. Period. But particularly is good when the other person, and this is not whether the spouse is male or female, depending on, who, it's just when you have someone who kind of lives in that space, who is that type A, who always got something to say, who's going to say what they got to get it off their chest. I just got to say something. Well, if you have two of those personality types, it's going to be difficult, right? To land at some shared understanding and all of it, just land on the same spot. Because if both of y'all gotta have something to say, if both of y'all gotta get it off your chest, you're not gonna land nowhere. You're gonna land and continue turmoil, and then it's gonna escalate. Because the more you talk, the more it's gonna escalate, and then the more somebody gonna say something they wish they had not have said. Then you trying to go to counseling because they didn't hurt my feelings and all of that, and you get to counseling, and now you want the counselor to perform a miracle because you just had to get it off your chest. Right. So here's the thing, particularly for men, and this is really human nature. We feel like we're winning when we're talking, and we gotta say the best thing. We gotta be the smartest person. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is just listening and gaining greater understanding about your spouse, right? Because if you can listen, and a number of things are happening at that same moment. Number one, you're communicating without saying anything to your spouse that you hear them, and I know. Because you got to interrupt them if they say something that you deem as being wrong, not factual, their opinion and all that. You got to say something right then. You got to say something right. That's human nature. I'm not talking about you, babe. I'm talking about human. I know a lot of people like that. But having the discipline to just listen, hear them out, and all of that is telling them that you are listening. You're actively listening. Number two is helping you out because you're shutting up long enough to actually hear and hear the spirit behind them, hearing some of the things beyond just the words that are coming out their mouth. You may start hearing kind of their story,
Yes.
and how they're showing up now didn't just start now. It started 25 years ago at home. And because now you settled yourself down, you can hear that you're not just talking to that person you're in communication with. You're talking to their mama, you're talking to their sister, you're talking to their auntie, you're talking to their daddy, you're talking to ex-boyfriend that hurt their heart and all of that. So I would say kind of when you're dealing with type A, do more and more listening, even though it's killing you. But I'm not saying, here's the thing, I'm not saying don't talk and don't speak up. I'm just saying be disciplined about listening and hearing. And typically those type A personalities, again, I'm not just talking about you, but when you begin to talk, there will be instances where you'll be interrupted. So that's why it's good to set ground rules in terms of how y'all communicate across the board, because it's hard to set ground rules in the midst of a heated discussion, right? And it's impossible to set ground rules when y'all arguing. Okay, so all right, I gave you a lot, and we ain't even here to talk about.
That was good. That was good, baby. That was good. And hey, I received that feedback about me. Okay, so we're talking about what it means to win in marriage, and we've already talked about the fact that you have to be able to have good communication, and we know communication is really connection, and you cannot be connected if you don't slow your life down long enough, slow your marriage down long enough to create a plan. And so we really wanted to talk to you all about the couples playbook. Now, let me tell y'all something. Lee May, I have so many resources through I Believe in Marriage, but he talks about the couples playbook all the time. Now, let me define that. The couples playbook is just the term I use for the couples strategic plan. This is a strategic plan. It is digital. It is totally revamped, where we help you create a strategy and a plan for your marriage in every area of your marriage. And so, Lee, tell us, why do you believe so much in this particular resource? Why are you a raving fan of the couples playbook?
Well, clearly I am. I believe, I believe in marriage, and I believe in the couples playbook. I believe in this strategic planning tool that you've developed, and I think part of it is because of how God has created me, my makeup. You
Yeah.
know me, I'll write a business plan in a heartbeat. Matter of fact, I force myself to write no more business plans, but I just believe in strategic planning because I just believe that even biblically, it lets us know in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2, God tells Habakkuk to write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it can run with it. Write it plain on tablets so that he who reads it can run with it. Well, the reality is Habakkuk was complaining to God about what was going on all around. It seemed like the worst people were winning the day. They were completely winning the game. And the good people who were trying to play the game the right way were losing. And Habakkuk was complaining. And God said, all right, then, if you would be quiet for a second, this is my paraphrasing it. I want you to write down what you hear me say and write it on tablets and make it plain. God was responding to his complaints and all of that. I use that as again, this is me bringing it into our modern day context, that if you want to win in your marriage, then you have to write the vision that God has given you. You got to make it plain. You got to write it. We don't write on, we write on electronic tablets now. We got to write it on tablets so that when we come back and read it, we can run with it. Now, Habakkuk is saying, just to be biblically accurate, when Habakkuk was writing on that tablets, that was for other people to read it and run with it. But here's the thing, when your marriage is winning, guess what? Your life is like a visual tablet for people that when they read your life, when they see your life, they can run with that and they can be blessed in their life as well. So I know I'm reading into a lot of it and making it work, but I just believe, and I think really this is oriented for men as well, because I just think that because we are so tangible, we're visual, we like to see and touch things in many ways. But this is a tangible way for you to kind of get back to what we were talking about before, getting on the same page, getting in unity. What are your plans for the future? What are your thoughts, number one, for the future in all these different areas? Because the challenge that I think so many marriages have, whether you are new in marriage, a newlywed, or whether you've been in this thing for a long time, there's an ongoing struggle of the two becoming one, right? The two has been doing your individual lives for a long time, particularly if you're older. You've been living life on your own for a long time, and those two lives coming together to make one is difficult. So how do you do it? One way that you do it is being proactive and the things that you want to see happen. So you talk about what your future is, what you want to do, your aspirations, your hopes. You talk about what you hear God is saying to you or whatever. And if God is speaking to you, God didn't mean, because you're married, God didn't intend for you to live this thing out by yourself. You have a spouse that he wants to come alongside you. And yes, he spoke it to you, but if you're married, your spouse has a role in making that come to pass. Just like if God speaks to your spouse, you have a role in making, and that don't mean that has to be your passion, that has to be your vision and your dream, but God wants you as the mate, as a spouse, to come alongside. So I just think this couple's playbook begins to tangibly, very practically allows for us to do that so that we can win, y'all. Be happy, be healthy, be whole, in our marriage.
I mean, come on.
Did that
Just
do it?
come on, baby. Just come home. For those of you just coming on, Lee is driving. He is being safe. His hands are on the wheel. His eyes are on the road. He is headed to go pick up our baby. But we wanted to have this conversation. So, Lee, that was so powerful. And I want to go further in one aspect that you said. But first, I want to say this. As a marriage therapist, or really my work with couples is under my coaching practice, but that's another conversation. But the work I do with couples show up on my virtual couch and they tell me my spouse, they say one of three things. And one of those things is, Robin, my spouse and I are just not on the same page. And I'm often asking them, then what are you doing about it? Because you do not just stumble upon the same page. You have to carve out time in your life to create a strategic plan. This isn't always easy because Lee and I are going to share that one time it went down. But before we do that, I want to lean in a little bit more when you're talking about men in particular, because I hear church leaders like you, hey, pastoral leaders talk often about the man being the head of the household. And we're not going to even just say pastoral leaders say it because it's a biblical truth that the husband is the head of the household. This is not what church is coming up with. This is not what pastors are coming up with, but this is what the Bible says. However, and no, I'm not saying but to the scripture, but I am saying that what that looks like in tangible expression is often challenging, particularly for women who get married even later on in life. I got married when I was 12, but there are women getting married at 30 and 35 and 40, and it's hard for them to wrap their minds around what it means for the husband to be the head of the household when she's handling all the logistics of the home. She's dealing with all the demands. She's carrying all the logistical weight. And so when he comes in and says, I'm the head of the household, that's confusing to her because she's not being given a vision. She's not being given any direction. It is very hard to follow a parked car. And so with that in mind, what do you say when you said specifically this is great for men? Why do you think this tool would benefit husbands?
So I think that's a good point that you brought up. I think this is an actual tool that men, as the lead, as the head of the household, can use to show that they are leading, right? Because this tool is taking you from where you are to where you know God has called for you to be. At our church, Transforming Faith Church, that's what we call transformation, right? And so as a leader, you got to be leading someplace, and you may not know how to do it. You may not know exactly how to lead your house. This tool is intended to show you how to lead. And so you don't have to be the teacher. All you're doing is now facilitating, and y'all are really co-facilitating, but you are bringing it to the table now, men. And I wish more men were watching this. Maybe ladies, you just send this link, after we're done, or you share it right now so that they could see it. But this is an actual tool that you can use to lead. Otherwise, what are you leading? What are you leading? You say you're the head, but how are you leading? And what proactive way are you leading, right? How are you showing that you are the leader? You say you're the head of the household. What does that mean? And so this is an actual tool for leadership, men.
Baby, that's significant. I remember when you were the CEO of DeKalb, and one of the things I remember, I don't know if you remember this specifically, but you were the CEO, and there was something going on with the water or the sewer, or something was going on, and you had to get up and do the press conference. And remember, I was so frustrated because I was like, why do you have to do the press conference? You're not over the sewage. You don't know anything about the sewage. And you said, it all starts and ends with me. You said that the reality is I have to take the responsibility for it because there is something going on in the pipeline with leadership that I have to handle it. And so I wanted to point that out because that's the same thing in the family. The husband may not know what specifically happened with the child, but if you're the head of the household, it all starts and ends with you. That's when you're supposed to come in and co-sign that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so I love that. Okay, so One of the things I wanted to talk about, because we talk about the couples playbook and we talk about how powerful it is, but it's not always easy. We want to also tell the full truth, right? It's not always easy to do. Before we end, we'll tell you all how we do it. I'm trying to see my time. Oh, my time is wrapping up. We'll tell you how we do it specifically. But Lee, do you remember that time we were doing the couples playbook and baby, it went left?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, if you can remember.
I don't even remember what the particular subject or point was, but it went left. This is what I remember. We were at a Mexican restaurant, and I don't think we were just eating the chips or whatever, and it went left early on in the conversation, and just shut everything down or whatever. But again, I think it was an indication of where we weren't together, right? And it was a process of getting together, right? And so some things, when you're sitting down, you're going to be in different hemispheres, you're going to be on different pages. But that sitting down because here's the thing, it's going to come up. Whatever that issue is, it's going to come up. And the reality is, it's better to proactively bring it up than for it to just come up just in some inopportune time or when something bad happens and all of that or whatever. So at least, even though it still went left, it shut everything down. It began the conversation.
Jesus.
It began the conversation.
And we can't even remember. This had to be, because we've been doing this 20 years. Now we've been married 23, 24, 23.
We've been married 23 years. February in a few months will be 24 years. Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I can't remember is because I always go back to the time when you.
So there we go. We were married in 2000. We were married in 2002. Just remember that.
So this had to be almost 10 years ago this happened. And we can't even remember what the issue was, but it went left. Like we had a huge argument, but we were able to bring it back together and continue doing the plan. And so with that, before we wrap up, how we do the plan. We've done it different ways over the years. What's the way that you enjoy the most when we do it?
I like getting someplace where we can have some coffee, maybe some breakfast, and it's kind of maybe like a coffee house or a lounge. We can go out. I'd rather kind of go out because it's least distractions, no kids around. We've done it a number of times when we were out of town because it was during the holidays or whatever. But I like doing it when you got to give yourself a good period of time. You can't do this in 30 minutes or an hour. You got to give yourself a good period of time to do it, a few hours at least, to be able to go through so that you're not rushing as well. You got to have somebody writing it down, both of y'all writing it down so that you can come back and kind of review it and, look at it in a clean kind of document as well to make sure y'all are on the same page when y'all walk out. Because once you're done with that, this should be kind of the guiding force behind y'all marriage in all of the different areas.
In every area, absolutely.
Yeah, because you've broken it out into different areas. You got your spiritual life, you got your sex life, you got your financial life, you got your educational life. You got all kind of things that you're going through, and you want to make sure that you know what you said, that you can keep going back and then periodically, go back to review and kind of get a status update.
Absolutely. And so we do it different ways. There have been times we've done a staycation, like we would check into a hotel, do a portion of the strategic plan that morning over breakfast, and then we'd go chill a little bit, then come back at lunch, and then try to have it done by middle afternoon. Then we're kicking it the rest of the evening. As life changed and more demand started to happen, sometimes, like you said, baby, we would just go to a coffee house. It's really good good to get out of your environment and to get to an environment that is conducive for real conversation. But it's really, really critical that you set the time aside. I know that some people who've done the strategic plan, they do it over the course of several weekends. That is fine if that works best, but I think that just gives you more opportunity to not get it all done. So it's better to set aside at least 2 to 3 hours on the low end, 2 to 3 hours to get it done. But we did want to acknowledge that it is not always roses. And that's why when you invest in the couples playbook, I think there are about 3 to 4 videos that walk you through some of the roadblocks that can come up. Now, before we go, I wanted to say this last thing. We completely revised, meaning this is a tool that I created, but Lee has definitely been impactful on it. And if you will remember, baby, you really wanted to include in this edition 5 and 10-year projections because the playbook originally was for just the year, but then you wanted to include 5 to 10-year projections. Tell me why that was important to you.
Well, because dreaming, what you're envisioning is a long-term kind of endeavor as well. And so you may be sitting down and thinking about what's going on right now, but you also have the long-term kind of vision in mind as well, and understanding that as you all are accomplishing to whatever level, the degree of success, that you're getting closer to your long-term vision as well. And I mean, that can help with your retirement planning.
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about your finances, when do you want to retire? If he says, I want to retire at 50, and you're in a career where you're like, well, I'm retiring at 65. Now, what does that look like, for that to happen? Or if you say 65, but you say it's 50, do we come down to 50? Do we go to 65? Or do we cut in the middle,
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at all these different things. If it's dealing with school and, you want to go back to school, if you're getting your master's, that's probably a 2 to 3 year program. You're getting your PhD, that could be up to 5. You just never know. So planning out what that looks like, because if you're going to go back to school and it's going to be a 3-year commitment, what are those 3 years going to look like for the rest of your family reality?
Absolutely. Wait, let me jump in there. That's significant because that's a real life example that happened, and I have to go, but that was a real life example that happened with us. As you remember, you were planning to go back to an intensive master's program, and we had a young baby already, and then I was pregnant again. Was that what it was?
Yeah, either you were pregnant or we had 2 already. So it was either we had Ryan and then Reagan was on her way, or Reagan was small. I can't remember.
And we were doing our strategic plan, and he had gotten accepted into the program. And we talk about this in the playbook. He had gotten accepted into the program, but just realized the reality of our life in that season was not conducive for him being in this intensive program. But God showed up because that same program that you were going to be in, you ended up going and teaching a couple of classes there because you had gotten such life experience through your next career path that you were able to teach the very class, teach a couple of sessions in the very class that you were going to be going through. And so it was a sacrifice on your end. Quite frankly, people don't get excited when we say this because people ain't trying to have no more kids. But truthfully, Riley, our youngest baby, is a result of the strategic plan. You telling me, baby, I want to have another child, and us having to talk about it during the strategic plan. Transforming Faith Church. Go ahead.
Yeah, Transforming Faith Church is an example of that as well. And both of those examples were another example of the conversation not starting off well. Like, those are not comfortable conversations. Those are not nice, easy breezy conversations. We didn't shut down like we did on the other ones, but it wasn't feel good moments for me. I'll tell you that much right now.
It wasn't, but you see what God has done. And so we pray that this conversation helps you understand the significance of slowing your life down.
Look, I know you got to go. But I had this thought that, look, it's November. There is no better way than to begin to start the new year. Can you believe 2026 is like a month and 10 days away. It's crazy. But I think now is a great time for couples to not just get the plan, to purchase the plan, but to come together and do it. And it's time for us to as well. I think it would be cool, super cool for us to do like a virtual strategic planning session, going through the couples playbook, and then just inviting couples to come in. They would have purchased the playbook. They can come in and they can go through it together. We can all do it together virtually, maybe a couple of hours or something like that. I think that would be amazing, you know. And you're talking about starting 2026 the right way.
So I'll do this. Depending on if there are 10 people who DM me and say I'm in, 10 people DMing me saying I'm in, I'll set it on the calendar. We'll make that happen.
All right, y'all should do it because it's only gonna bless you, right?
It's gonna bless you.
Somebody said that'd be awesome in the comments. Yeah.
Well, I would love that. So if I get 10 people to DM me and say I'm buying it and I'm in, we'll do it. Yes, baby.
So that's one person on there right now.
That's one out of the 10.
Right.
And so I'll send this out to my email database as well. So thank you, baby, for coming on and us having this conversation. You can get the couples playbook by going to ibelieveinmarriage.com/playbook, or you can just click the link in the bio. We truly believe in this. We believe in marriage, and we believe this tool can be a game changer for you all. All right, baby, I gotta go get my baby, take pictures and videos and all of that. All right, I'll see y'all later.
Love you, babe. Bye.
Bye. Love you.